Yeah,
I'm not
denying that, you know, sex is intimacy, it is fun. Like, I'm not denying all that stuff. But what I'm saying is we've gone to the...
Well, statistically, I mean, I think men...
More forgiving, maybe? In that area, anyway. In that area, yeah, let me not say... Because women couldn't be bitter.
Yo, guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I have a great conversation lined up for you today. I know. I always say this. I do. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't going to be great content for you guys. You know, on this channel, we like to have different conversations with different people about dating, modern relationships, and just about finding out what we can use to attract the kind of person we want. So without further ado, please welcome Ruth to the show. Hey, Ruth.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
You
How
good?
are you?
I'm all right. The sun is shining.
Yeah.
The sun is shining. You know, things are bright. We've got some good energy in the room today.
Indeed.
Thank you for coming out.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We appreciate you. So just to start off, can you please tell us your name, age or age range? You know, can't ask women her age. So age or age range, whichever you choose, and one thing a guy should know about you if you want to take you on a date.
Oh, wow. Okay. My name is Ruth Rawlins.
Yep.
My age range, let's just say, you should ask a woman her age.
It's a very good point. Well, that's what's an age range, I know. But it's just in case if the guys look at you and they want to know. They might be like, oh.
You know, I'll just say my age.
It's up to you.
I've just recently turned 40. Yeah.
No! Are you serious?
Yeah.
My producer's clapping right now. Ruth, you got it, girl. You have got it. Wow, I'm 28. I thought you were like my age.
Yeah.
Damn, check you out. All right. And
so now you can appreciate the wisdom, the age and the wisdom in my words.
Whatever Kool-Aid you're drinking, we need to know immediately. And yeah, one thing a guy should know about you if he wants to take you on a date.
Well, no, he knows my age.
Yeah.
I have a child. I have a teenage daughter.
Yeah.
And I'm a Christian. I think that's important. My faith is very important to me.
I hear that. Very true. Very true. You have a daughter. Do you talk to her about men at all?
Yes.
Do you give her,
Yes.
What kind of things do you talk to her about? You don't have to share anything you don't want to. But.
Well, I try not to do it too, you know, let's sit down and talk about men. Yes. Like, you know, for any child and a parent, that can be a cringe for the child. But I try to get it into just in conversation. And one thing for me that's been important is to cast the vision, you know, for what is it you want type thing, and think of that and have a vision, because it can be so easy for parents, you know, just to be like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, and put fear and fear.
Very true.
But I think it's important to have that vision for what you want, you know. So if you want to be married and you want to have a lot of children, like how you live your life now affects that.
Yeah. And when you say now, what do you mean, like at her age or?
Yeah, as an older teenager, I believe. Like the type of how you carry yourself, how you engage with the opposite sex, and just the relationships you're going to get into. The relationships you're going to get into is important for what the end goal is, you know. 100%. You can't just, I think this whole thing that we're doing society, in Western society particularly, is that it's just, you know, live how you want, do what you feel, and then settle down when you're older. But your actions have consequences.
That is very true. And I mean, it is good that we have the freedom to live how we want.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe, do you think it'd be fair to say that maybe, I think most people do think about the future, but maybe they're like, oh, I'll get to that when I get to that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's different for men and women? Do you think it's the same?
I think it's the same.
Yeah.
I think it's the same in that to live your life kind of one way, and then all of a sudden you have to change. Because I know there's a lot that, women need to, you know, keep pure and stuff like that. What we hear on
that.
it's 20s and his 30s sleeping around. I'm just talking about the way the culture and the way society is kind of, we do dating, right? We do, sleep around and then settle down when you're older, but you can't just live one way and then just suddenly change.
Yeah, I do agree. And this is something that I've kind of talked to more women about, that, I had a video that said why his body count should matter to you.
Okay, interesting.
And the reason I think women should, not say it doesn't have to be the be all and end all, but why it maybe should matter more is exactly for what you said. Because if a guy shows a history of never being in a relationship and all he's done is just been sleeping with different women all the time, which... Fair. If he wants to do that, we live in a free country, right?
And maybe he wants to live his whole life like that. That's up to him. Maybe he's got no desire to get married.
Exactly, which is very true.
But for the ones who do,
get into a relationship and then he's still not going to have those impulses, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not an excuse for him to do it. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying.
I just think the way we live our life in our late teens, in our 20s, it does affect the rest. Not to say that you can change, right? Because my life has very much changed. My point of change is giving my life to Christ, becoming a Christian. And so so people can change, but it's just like patterns, like the way the actions we do form patterns and habits, which are in anything. Right, which are hard to break.
It's very true.
So I just wanted to put that out there, that I think, as I said to my daughter, I think it's important how you live your life now does affect the future.
Yeah, I hear that.
So that's mine.
Do you think becoming a Christian has changed your relationship and attitude towards sex?
100%.
Yeah, how so? What was it before? And then
I was brought up in a Christian home, but I wasn't following it. Like I just thought, I just wanted to do my own thing, to be honest. And so, so I went to uni. I did what everyone else was doing, got into a relationship. You're free. You've got no one there to tell you what to do or what not to do. So I got in a relationship. That's when I got pregnant at university. And it was a wake-up call. And I realised, just getting pregnant, I realised... having my child, I was like, wow, just because of the messiness of the situation, like, we were both young, we weren't going to be together. That realization, wow, this is hard. I don't think this is the way it's supposed to be.
I hear that.
Don't get me wrong, I'm so happy I've got my daughter. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, of course.
But, I think a child ultimately needs, and she has a father in her life, but ideally the ideal situation is for parents to be together and living in the home and raised in my opinion, and in the Bible, that's what I believe as well. In terms of, you said my faith impacted, I just believe that we have a creator, a God who's created us, and he knows what's best for us. He designed sex, he designed marriage, he designed relationships, and so we can look into the word of God, into the Bible, and it gives us outlines, it gives us guidance, it gives us his order right from the beginning. It talks about a man shall leave his parents and become one with his wife. They'll become one flesh. So that's what sex is. You literally two become one. So where we've perverted that and just allowed each, like, becoming one with multiple people, it's not just a physical act, it's a spiritual act, it's an emotional act. And we've, as a society, and it's happened in societies throughout the ages, right? It's nothing new, but we have perverted, and I think we've taken away the sacredness and the importance of sex and made it into a hobby or a pastime. And that's why I think it no longer has the gluing two people as one. Because you're walking around and you're one to so many people, and it's not healthy. And that's why I think, especially, I can only speak for women, there's a lot of emotional stuff after sex because they've become one, and now that's ripped up. And now they'll bounce to the next to kind of cover that pain. And I just think there's a lot of I just think it's all backwards. And that's why there's so much issues in society. And so it's totally changed. So I'm celibate now, and I'm not married, but I'd love to be married one day, and I'm waiting till I'm married.
I hear that. I hear that. So I completely hear everything you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to challenge your position a little bit.
Please, yeah.
So what would you say to, let's say, because obviously not everyone's a follower of Christ.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So for some people, sex is an experience they want to share with people, and their standard for that can be different. So for some people might be, I only want to have sex with someone who I'm in a relationship with. I'm only going to have sex with someone who I'm dating seriously. For some people, I'm only going to have sex with someone who I'm attracted to, and that's that. What would you say to them people, and this applies for men and women, where they say, oh, well, they want to explore themselves sexually, right? Especially if they're younger. So they get to know themselves, they get to know what they like, and the kind of partner that they want in the physical intimacy realm. Because I guess kind of what you're saying, that wouldn't really allow people to do that. So what would you say to that?
Well, when you say allow, it's like, at the end of the day, if those people want to live like that, that's up to them. Yeah. Like, or if you choose to follow Christ, then you follow Christ, right? If you choose to be a Christian, or if you choose to be a Muslim, do you know what I mean? You follow you're choosing to follow the teachings of that religion. Yeah. And so, I mean, there's a certain element of people who might say they're Christians, but they're not living according to the Bible. True. And again, that's up to them. And I believe you can, I think there are consequences.
What do you think?
If you don't follow the maker's instructions, there's going to be consequences. Yeah. Right. So I've got consequences in that I'm raising my child alone, and I've got the challenges. I have to always stress that, because I wouldn't change anything in terms of having her, and she's my pride and joy. But there's challenges, that her father's not in the home. And I know you can say, okay, what if there's no kids and people... And that's one thing that we've done as society, is we've separated babies from sex. It's like people spend their whole teens and 20s trying not to, contraception, trying not to have sex, trying not to get having sex but not having babies. Yeah. And then later on in life, they when they've decided they want to settle down, not always, but sometimes they're struggling. And now they have to... So again, I just feel if you don't follow the maker's instructions, there's going to be consequences. That's all I'll say, really. Again, to the people who want to, experiment or try different... I think they'll continue, as I said earlier, down that line. Because I think as soon as you open up, and that's why I will always encourage young people to keep pure, and to stay. For men and women? Yeah, I would. Yeah. I hear that. I would encourage it, whether you're a Christian or not, because I just think it's the healthiest way to live. Yeah. And I think that whole thing of try before you buy or experiment, I just think that the way it's created to bond two people as one, if you've got two virgins coming together, then they're going to learn together. They're going to, do you know what I mean? They're going to more like to stay together. Of course, people will have, maybe have had sex and stuff. There's always change. There's always chance to change your ways and stuff. Yeah. But in terms of going into it, to young people who are watching, I would just say, be mindful. Yeah. I hear that. I don't think that's wrong to say to be mindful for 100%. And I do agree and see the benefits of living a certain way, depending on what life goals you want. Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. What thing is, you said about how children has been separated from sex, or babies have been separated from sex. But I think it's been that way for a long time. And even when you say a long time, what do you mean? As long as you lived, or no? I mean centuries. I mean at least several centuries. I think for the past. I would definitely think that for the past several centuries of human existence, the reason sex has happened for most people, and this is even within relationships, was not to have a child. Even if you have a married couple, they have 3 kids.
They have sex because they want to share the intimacy together.
Yeah,
not because they're trying to have a child.
I'm not denying.
I mean?
I'm not denying that, you know, sex is intimacy. It is fun. Like, I'm not denying all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, we've gone to the extreme where it's my right to have sex, all the sex I want.
Isn't it?
And then if a baby comes into the picture, then I can just get rid of it.
I see. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So it's like, or people, even the language you use. Oh, I fell pregnant. You didn't fall pregnant. Do you know what I mean? It's like you were walking along one day and you fell over and you fell pregnant.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You engage in an activity that biologically can produce a baby.
Yeah. No,
so do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it was an accident. It was an accident. My child was an accident.
Yeah.
I didn't plan her because I was in the mentality of, I wasn't in the same space I'm in now. But just at the society and the language, I just think, and when you've got a place where these babies are literally getting killed for their parents to be able to do what they want and live how they want and have as much sex as they want with as many people, and they haven't even thought, oh, if I engage with sex with this person, potentially I could have a child. People aren't even thinking that anymore.
Most people
a lot. I'm not saying everyone.
No, it's true.
But a lot of people aren't even thinking that because they feel they've got so many ways out.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are so many forms of contraception nowadays. So I guess, you know, there's like over 20 or 30 forms of contraception. So yeah, I guess, you know, people aren't thinking about, oh, this could result in a pregnancy. Well, yeah, not as much because there's so many things to avoid it. And
I think that's where we're very feelings culture. So we just do what we want, how we feel in the moment. Yes. And it's not really, there's not so much kind of thoughtfulness about just going into relationships and
I hear that. What's something you'd like to bring to the conversation?
I guess it would be that. It's just kind of like what we've done with love. I think we've made love as just a feeling. When, you know, actually love, what is love? It should be more action. It should be how you treat, you know, one another, how you like lay down your life for someone, you know, that love. But we've just made it into, you know, oh, don't love him anymore, fell out of love. Yeah. And so I just think, I don't know what you think about that. I feel that love should be a decision. And don't get me wrong, there's different types of love. There's the love you have for your child, there's the love you have for your friends, love you might have for your partner, right? And there's a romantic love, of course, so there is. But I think that even when the romantic love might die a bit, there should still be that foundational love of, I will respect you, I will honor you, I will be loyal to you. All of these things that you do to your child, right? You're not going to suddenly, don't feel it anymore. I'm not feeling this child anymore. They're annoying me. You don't just chuck your child out. I just think that, in the same way, we've lost that for relationships. It's become a little bit more about how I feel. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would definitely separate relationships with marriage.
Okay.
So I would say I agree.
Dating relationships.
Yeah. So in the sense of like, I agree everything that when it comes to a marriage, when you choose to marry someone, there's an element of duty that comes with marriage when you have that decision. Yeah. And the basis of marriage has always been about duty. And it's not about saying you shouldn't have love within your marriage, but it's all the things you said, like you're the person that I choose to do life with. You're the person who I choose as my teammate, and you choose that every day. And if you're going to be in a marriage for anything longer than a decade, it's very likely that the feeling of love for that person is going to fluctuate. There are going to be times where you're like, oh my gosh, this is my person. And there are going to be times where you're like, I can't stand this person right now, right? Because of whatever's happening, you know? But then the choice that you make, choosing them every day, regardless of that, is what marriage, I believe, is about, and the love is about. When it comes to relationships outside of marriage, relationships is quite a new concept in the sense of having a romantic, intimate relationship outside of the institution of being betrothed to one another.
It's a new concept?
As in, when I say new, as in like it's new in comparison for how human beings have lived.
Interesting.
It's new for at least like the last 100 years. So it's actually not that long. And even 100 years ago, if you were intimate with someone, it's because you were going to marry them.
So is it because there's marriage, or there's just like prostitution? Is that what you mean? Because obviously we know prostitution has been going on for centuries.
I guess having a romantic exclusive relationship outside of marriage is still very
interesting.
new.
That's very interesting.
So I wouldn't apply the same standards to marriage that I would to relationships, because in a relationship you haven't really chosen that person as your life partner yet. So then in relationships, I think that's why there's more focus on, how do I feel about this? Should I choose this person if I don't feel that I want to consistently? Go on, what are you going to say?
Self-centered. It's all self-centered. So those type of relationships.
I think everything we do is
let's be honest,
though, isn't it?
but it's more self-centered, because you're like, and a lot of the time is women will be like, let me be with this guy because he's here. Because I'm not with anyone, and they'll settle whatever just because they want someone for now. It's not necessarily the guy they want to marry or be with, but they'll just settle. Maybe guys do that as well.
Do guys? I haven't heard as much guys say that they're settling. Usually, if we hear someone settling, we usually hear the woman settling for the guy.
Really?
But I think an element of that is, I think men generally ask for less in a relationship, as in like, and maybe because I'm a guy, but I hear a lot what women want the man they choose to bring. You know, he has to be my emotional confidant. He has I have to be able to learn from him, but he also has to support me. He has to, he has to be intelligent, funny. I feel that the metrics that women require from a man that they want, their ideal man, I feel that men's list is a lot less, right? So I guess essentially more women would technically qualify or pass his standard for the kind of woman he would choose.
Interesting.
And so in that sense, I've never really heard of guys settling.
Interesting.
But I guess, to be fair, I think reality hits men in regards to dating before it hits women. Okay. In a sense of like, men are shown very early on kind of how desirable they are or aren't to women as early as like their teenage years, especially as they hit a young adulthood.
But don't you think they change though? Because there's always that kid in school that was like, teased or whatnot, and then he grows up and then he's like
blossoms.
Yeah, that all the girls wish
it happens. Yeah, 100% it happens. And especially as a
both
guy.
ways. Yeah.
No, I think it does. I think depends on what age you're comparing.
Actually, and often those guys are the most humble.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
They can be because they weren't necessarily desired at school.
Yeah.
And then as they got older, and they realised,
I would say,
or it could flip the other way as well.
Yeah, I would say that if they got like zero attention when they were younger, let's say in their late teens, and then they worked their arse off into their 30s on proving themselves. Yeah. It can happen where they're like, well, now I'm entitled to have whatever I want and do whatever I want.
I guess it can go either way.
So it can go either way. I think it can go either way. But yeah, I think that I think men are definitely humbled in the dating realm.
Interesting.
Earlier than women.
No, so you said about settling. So you said the guy doesn't settle, but the woman does. So do you mean that if a guy's in a relationship, I'm talking about actual relationship, not just doing his thing, that it's the type of girl that he would likely want to marry, or not always? Or do you think guys don't even think that way?
I think it depends how old they are.
Interesting.
I think if they're younger, I don't. This goes for men and women. I don't think when they get into a relationship, I don't think they're thinking too much. Is this the person that I would marry? As we all get older, 100%, 100%. Like, I have talked to a couple of friends. I'm 28, so a lot of my friends are anywhere between their mid-20s to late 30s, and they're like, "Yeah, the next relationship I get in is probably the one that I'm going to do life with.
Okay.
So
when they get to that point, then
they're
it's like
they're not just going to choose
waste their time.
Yeah, they're not just going to choose anyone to commit to. But I guess I was kind of more saying that because I think men's standards aren't as high as some women's, it means that they could be happy with more women.
Okay.
If that makes sense. As in more women, he's like, okay, I could have a relationship with you, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
Whereas
from experience and just looking at different men and women, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think men have like a lower threshold?
And women have higher standards?
Because sperm is cheap and eggs is valuable. In a sense of like, when it comes to the reproductive, I don't say game, but the reproductive realm, women are more valuable. And that's why it's always been men being put on the front lines to protect women. Because in a sense of like, what I mean is, if you have one woman to 10 men, right? Let's say, for example, she can only bring one child to term every year. But if you have 10 women to one man, they're all like, you're then bringing 10 children into the next generation, even though it's only fathered by one man. So it's, and we see that, and we know this from like statistically, like only 40% of men have ever reproduced throughout history. Like only 40% of men.
40% of men? What do you mean?
Yeah. So what I mean is like...
So now today, in UK, for example,
yep,
only 40% of men are fathers?
Not that only 40% of men today in this country are fathers, but I mean throughout human history, right, only 40% of men have ever reproduced. Most men throughout history have not been chosen as a sexual partner by women. And this is actually a really big reason why we've evolved the way we have, because women choose, right? A big reason why human beings are getting taller, because women have historically chosen men on the taller side. So as human beings, we are now getting taller. The same with intelligence, and the same with all these things. So there's a lot of qualities that are very attractive that are dominant today. They're as a result of women's sexual selection historically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But in that sexual selection, a lot of men have not had their lineage carry on. Does that make sense? So I think I was listening to this. Is it Chris Williamson's podcast? He had this research run, and he was like, so like for example, like the being able to digest dairy. That's in terms of human evolution. That's actually a very new thing. It's actually a very new thing to be able to digest that. But somebody who could survive and could have that is obviously a preferable mate because they're stronger, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So now we can all do it. But there's probably 40% of men or 60% of men who weren't chosen throughout history who that wasn't in their capability. So now,
interesting.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, because historically, the big driver for males has always been to get his genes into the next generation, and women have always been the choosers. And if you're always the chooser, then you can afford to be pickier because you have a lot of options, right? Why do you think it is? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Why are women more picky? I was just gonna go from more like what I see in culture in terms of, you know, the princess or the Disney princess and the Prince Charming. Yeah. And I feel like maybe the media has just kind of made us be a little bit more picky. You need this, like almost set a high, unrealistic expectation.
I do think social media has
even movies though as well. Do you know what I mean?
100%. So one thing I always say is what porn is to men is what rom-coms are to women.
Interesting.
And I say porn...
that's really interesting.
Yeah. Porn sets unrealistic expectations in men about women's bodies and about sex.
Interesting.
But romantic films and comedies and stuff like that set unrealistic expectations in women about men, about love, and about relationships.
Interesting.
So, yeah, the media we consume today is definitely distorting our perception of what is realistic. I'd even say for men too, because you see all these Instagram models online, right?
And they don't even look like that in real life.
And they don't even look like that in
yeah,
real life.
so let alone though.
Guys see this and like, yeah, that's the kind of girl I want. And it's like, how many women are actually, is that real, bro? How many women is it actually real? And it's, you know, it's not. So yeah.
So based.
There was something I want to ask you. So what's one thing you would say to men today about what women want, maybe from them? I know that you speak for every woman ever, but as a general thing.
I would want us to say to men today about what women want.
Yeah.
I know it sounds cliche, but
Say
it's
it.
just love.
Just love me.
No, but that just. But the love I was talking about earlier, the love that is loyal.
But it can't be just
Faithful.
that, though. Because there'll be
The
plenty of guys
loyal
who
and
would do that.
faithfulness. What?
Well, because there'll be a lot of guys who would offer that, but you probably wouldn't choose because of other reasons.
Well, you asked for one thing, so I had to encapsulate it into
very
that one
true.
word.
That's
There's
very
multiple things.
Yeah, it's very true.
Like, because that's the reason I said that, because I could say, oh, he's got to be hardworking, right? I could say that, but then there can be someone who's hardworking but doesn't have love. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I feel like if, again, I say it's so cliche, but if a guy loves a woman, that he will want to do these things, like that real love, not that self-centered love that you make me feel good.
Yeah.
And I get we're all selfish somewhat, I get it, but you know that he'll want to work hard to provide. He will. I mean, I think guys want to work hard for themselves anyway. Probably, would you say?
Yeah.
For themselves, for their own success.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think just to honor and just stay faithful, and just to be hardworking, to provide. So I can't do it in one. There's a whole heap. That's why I did it in love.
Do you think women have a more lenient stance when it comes to being faithful? And the reason I say this is because it's like the whole body count thing.
For a guy to be faithful, you mean?
Yeah, as in
than
like,
a man.
Do you think women take guys back easier if he's been unfaithful than guys taking back women?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe they're more faithful.
Who, women?
Loyal. Yeah.
Maybe. Well, statistically, I mean, I think men
more forgiving, maybe.
When it
in that area, anyway.
In that
area, let me not say, because women couldn't be bitter. Women can be bitter.
Well, I mean, apparently women
can be bitter.
Leave the relationships more than men today.
But then sometimes what women will do, and this is really unhealthy, is they'll take them back, but then they haven't forgiven, and it will come up.
Yeah.
And then that's just, as far as I'm concerned, that's tarnished. Yeah. So as much as maybe it's familiarity. I can't even say the word.
Familiarity.
Yeah,
that one.
Maybe it's that. It's not forgiveness, because women. Or I've heard that for guys, it's just harder to forgive.
Yeah, if she's she's branched out physically.
Understandable.
Yeah, it is. And
I think both ways, but I think women do often forgive, especially if they're married. Especially if the women are married. Do you think? I think, yes, they more often forgive than the man. In marriage.
I agree.
Yeah, because I feel like they've committed, they set up home, especially if the kids involved. That's a whole nother. If you're talking about that, if you're talking about just relationship, then again, the whole thing from what you said, it's like relationship, just in, out, whatever you feel, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's different.
I think, I'm going to be honest, and I think this is an unflattering truth. I think how likely she is to forgive him is how much value he brings to her life.
Okay.
So what I mean is...
Of course, yeah. Because if he's a deadbeat, then what's she gonna do?
Why would I
Yeah,
stay with you?
yeah.
You cheated on me. You're freaking deadbeat. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? But if he's the kind of guy that can
Of
provide
course.
something that
Of
not
course.
many men can,
Yeah.
and I don't just mean lifestyle,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like safety,
Yeah.
security,
Yeah.
everything, and he had sex with this one random girl who doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna like it, but
Yeah.
I think you're more like, I think a woman's more
Yeah.
likely to stay.
And so all the men, he think just because the woman will forgive you, it's gonna cause issues.
Oh,
Still,
but
so
once you've-
I wouldn't recommend it.
It's true, because once you've cheated, it changed the dynamic for a
It can
relationship
break
forever.
trust. It can be healed. It 100%
It
can
be
be
healed,
healed.
but it'll never be the same. I don't think it'll ever be the same.
Yeah, so it's just like,
So
as
I just
again,
don't
every
think
action has a consequence, right? Every action has a consequence, so
Yeah.
choose carefully.
Because it's like, if you cheated at one time,
that's
like every time you're going out, bro, with the boys, she's
Yeah.
going to be thinking.
yeah.
And you're going to be thinking, oh, why is she on my case? But at the same time, you caused that by cheating.
Yeah,
And I would say the same the other way too.
and that's why I think boundaries are important. People knowing their boundaries, like,
In regards to other people outside the relationship.
yeah, I mean, if you're in a relationship, like, certain things you probably shouldn't do. Like, don't go to a girl's house. Another girl's house by themselves, if
Yeah,
there's
yeah, I
a
agree.
certain time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just
What do you
got.
think? What do you think are certain boundaries that? Okay, what do you think are boundaries that a woman should have when she's in a relationship? And I'll
Interesting.
give 2 boundaries for women. I'll give 2
Okay,
boundaries for
2
men.
boundaries for women when they're
Yeah.
in a committed relationship or
Yeah,
married.
and I'll give 2 boundaries for men.
For women, probably shouldn't be talking to other men on the phone for long, unless it's work related.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I think,
Yes.
shouldn't be talking like.
Is that like
Why-
texting including?
There has to be a real purpose. I don't want to be like blanket. There should be a purpose.
You're not
Do you know what I mean?
just chit-chat.
Let's say you're arranging an event. There, sure, but you shouldn't be. I don't think like on the phone for hours to another guy who's not your.
Yeah.
Who's
of
not.
course.
Yeah, unless unless it's work related because.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But then you just have to be wise. Yeah, that'd be one long. Oh, give me your one and I'll think of the other one.
Okay. So one of mine is he should not be friends with any woman that he finds attractive.
Be friends.
Yeah.
When it's in a relationship.
I
There's
say
levels
that's a
of
general
friendship.
rule, but yeah, especially when you're in a relationship. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He should not be friends and okay.
I know, like not. He
And there's
can't
levels
talk,
of friendship, isn't there?
but- Say again.
There's levels of friendship.
There's levels of friendship, but if you find a woman attractive
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're friends with her,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna draw an attraction to her, and that's gonna put your relationship in jeopardy.
Okay.
Not that you can't ever converse with any woman who's somewhat attractive, but I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
When I say friend, I mean
That'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it?
yeah, like do you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I mean when I say friend, I mean like
That's
go
true.
out for coffees
Yeah,
with them, catching
yeah,
up
yeah,
with
yeah,
them,
yeah.
like spending
One-on-one. Yeah, but that's one-on. But you could be friends in groups. Come on.
I agree. Yeah, of course. You can be
Like,
friends in groups.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. For me,
Yeah.
that would be the boundary. Yeah, the one-on-one time. So I
Yes.
talked about phone. That'll be my second one. So in terms of phone calls,
Yeah.
but yeah, personal, spending, going for coffees as well. It's like
Yeah.
one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like guys will have a problem. But would you have a problem? Okay, your girlfriend, wife, whatever.
Mhm.
If she wanted to go for a coffee with a guy, what would your
Who's
like?
the guy? Is it a guy friend?
Yeah,
Were they friends before we got into a relationship?
yeah,
Then yeah, that's calm. That's fine. If it was a new guy,
yeah,
I'd be like, why?
yeah.
I wouldn't be like, you can't go, but I'd
Yeah,
be like,
yeah,
why
yeah.
do you want to go meet up with this guy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who you
A
weren't
new
friends
guy,
with
yeah, yeah.
before
Yeah,
that you are?
makes sense.
I would just question it. I'd be like, why?
But what about if she was going regularly? See, you got regularly for a guy she was friends with before.
Oh, she was friends with before.
Yeah, but she's regularly going for coffee with him.
Well, if she was friends
It's
with him
gonna-
before, and they're going regularly,
Yeah.
he's probably a close friend. I've probably met him.
But do you think it's a bit more healthy to go out in groups? In groups, if it's
I
regularly.
was going to say
Let's
something.
be honest. Huh?
Well, what I was going to say was that
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say this.
Just say it.
Okay, if I've met him,
Yeah.
right? If they were friends before,
Yeah.
she's probably friend zoned him, which means that he's probably not her first choice,
Okay.
even if he likes her.
Yeah.
Also, if I've met him,
Yeah.
we all do this. I'm gonna size myself up to him, like, at least in her eyes, am I more of a catch than he is?
Okay.
9 times out of 10, you probably
she's
are.
with you,
Because
yeah.
if he was, then she would just be with him. That's why I said it's important if she was friends with him before.
Yeah.
Because if she was friends with him before,
Yeah.
if she wanted to go there, she probably could have. But she's with me. So I don't think I would care. I just be like, do your thing, bro.
But this is where I think is good, bro. Sis. Oh, you're your girlfriend.
No, I meant to.
Oh, to the guy.
To the guy.
Okay.
You could meet up with her, but she ain't choosing you over me.
This is where I think it's important for people to have their own boundaries rather than putting boundaries on other people, because that's when.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, we asked each other. You asked me, you know, what for a woman.
Exactly.
And for a man, but I think that those should be my boundaries, because otherwise, if he, that's where it gets, you know, he's saying don't be doing this, don't be doing that. Then it starts. But you would hope that both the man knows like things which are, you know, inappropriate, and the woman knows things which are inappropriate for themselves. It's not to say there's not going to be a difference and a bit of clash. There might be discussion, but I think it can start. That's where it can start getting a bit nuts if the guy's like, you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't do this, and vice versa.
I agree. Both. That's why I said I wouldn't say, oh, you can't do this.
I hear that. I hear that. But you would probably pick someone that has those kind of standard, right? You'd pick a girl that actually has, because some girls or some guys they don't really have boundaries, and they don't have. So
I think for a relationship, for me at least, and you know maybe for a lot of guys, I think it depends on the girl and depends on how I connect with her. But as a general thing, if she was always voluntarily and enjoying those environments where guys are actively trying to pursue her and she's indulging the attention, I probably wouldn't choose that long term. That just doesn't line up with my values. Like, you're free to do what you want,
exactly.
but our values aren't compatible. For me, that's one of my standards. Like, I wouldn't, if I'm in a relationship, I wouldn't put myself in that situation where I could be indulging in that attention. Do you know what I mean? Like, work environment, whatever applies is different. But
I think some girls do it. I'm just gonna say,
go on,
because maybe they're not getting the attention from their partner. I'm not condoning it at all. But I think that they sometimes they do that, and they think that other men find like giving them attention is gonna make their partner you know, just notice them more. But I think it causes all sorts of other issues. I think it's a bit of a weird mind game that I think people don't do it consciously. I think it's subconscious.
But then the equivalent for a guy would be like, well, my girl doesn't want to have sex with me, so I'm gonna go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, true. That's the equivalent of a guy. Because
I know, I'm not saying it's right, but I think at the end of the day, on both sides, it probably
it's just some guys do to get attention without crossing any certain boundaries. So I guess here's my question: would you say there's such a thing as emotional cheating?
Yeah, I guess.
What does that look like?
Again, if you're spending all your time speaking to another guy, like about. And I think that's why I said, right, remember the first thing I said was a girl speaking too long on the phone to a guy he's not. I think that's kind of a boundary, because women are more emotional. And I think when they get the attention from the guy, even if it's for the mind, even if it's for just speaking, and that they can start to think, about a guy. Whereas from my understanding, men is a little bit more physical. So emotional cheating, because then I think again it's not like break up the relationship, but it's just like they would need to just step back type thing.
I agree. Do
you think women more would do it than men, or do you think men can do it as well?
What, emotionally cheat? Oh, I mean, men can do it. Of course they can. Yeah. Do they do it as much?
The men's is
I'll
probably.
Be honest, I don't think they do it as much.
The men's is probably more likely to lead to physical, right? Whereas I feel like the women could potentially just do the emotional connection and it not. But maybe the guy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree, because in the sense of like, even when a woman friend zones a guy,
Yeah.
she could be getting all the emotional benefits as if the guy was a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, he's there for her, does things for her. Like, let's say she's single.
Yeah.
Right? He does things for her. He's there for
Yeah.
her. You know, she wants a chore. He's there.
Yeah.
But because she's not into him, she's not physically intimate with him. But that's actually what he wants as well. He wants part of that. I think, and the only reason I would say that I think women will probably emotionally cheat more is because it's more available for them to do it, because women get more attention than men. Like, the average woman gets way more attention than the average man. So there's more opportunities to. It's the same thing as, like, you know, a quote unquote alpha male who has a lot of women throwing themselves at him. He's probably more likely to sexually cheat than someone else, because it's all available to him.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, in comparison, I think that's why maybe and also I think that's why maybe women are more conscious of it. Like, if a guy, like, if her man is talking to this other woman, it's like, why is she getting his emotional attention?
Interesting, yeah.
Why is she getting some of that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I guess, let me ask you, I don't know. Would you rather your fella...
Would you rather?
Would you rather...
Yeah.
Would you rather that... Let's say you're married, right? That he is talking to this other woman consistently, but the physical boundaries are never crossed.
Yeah.
Or he sleeps with this one random woman one night and that was it.
I still got to be the first one, because I feel that...
You think that's better for you?
Yeah, because once you're physical, it's just... You've done stuff to get there.
Yeah.
I feel like you've gone through more hoops. Well,
no, because he got a night out. He just met this random girl and he just had sex with her.
Yeah, but that's still gonna...
Which one's worse for you?
Yeah, number 2.
Oh, him sleeping with someone else is worse.
Yeah.
Fair.
That is worse.
Fair enough.
It's not to say the other one is... the other one's
both
still
bad.
going to be hard. Yeah.
They're both bad.
That's what Would You Rather is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got to be... It is number 2. Maybe some other women would say number 1. But yeah. And assume you would say number 2 as well.
Yeah, I'd say number 2.
Yeah.
As I like... Maybe I'm a fool for thinking this, but for me, as long as the physical boundary is not crossed, I don't really care. Not really. As long as it doesn't take...
So that means you don't believe in emotional cheating then? Not don't believe in it, you don't see it as cheating. It's not cheating.
Not that it's hard. Not that I don't see it as... I think something can be very inappropriate.
It's for what it can lead to, right?
Right.
It's the fear that it will lead to the crossing the physical boundaries. Don't you think that's what it is?
Yeah, but if I knew that the physical boundary was never going to be crossed,
I don't
think I would care.
Really?
Not really, no.
Interesting.
For me, like, that's the
maybe
line
it's
for me.
because it's a female, right? And you're just thinking this guy's like just one of them, best friend type guys.
Yeah, because I'm like,
who's like not gonna.
Yeah, because it's.
But
like,
I just feel the other way round.
I think. Tell me what your thoughts are. I think because. Not that men don't want the emotional connection and women don't want the physical connection, but I think men and women show their investment differently. I think men show their real investment through their emotional attention. The girl that a guy's taking more seriously is the girl who spends a whole weekend with, right? Even if they don't have sex, than the girl who just goes around hers Friday night, they have sex and then he leaves Friday morning, right? The girl who had more of his emotional time and attention, he's investing more into her. Whereas I'd say it's the opposite for women. I'd say the guy that she is physically intimate with is the one that she's investing in more. And I kind of think subconsciously, when we get into a relationship, I think subconsciously we understand that dynamic. So for a guy, it's like the second she starts sleeping with another man, that compromises your position in her life. Because that's how she shows her investment to you. Whereas for men, or for women, it's the opposite. The second he starts giving his emotional attention to another woman, that compromises your position as his girlfriend, who is supposed to be getting it
Mm-hmm.
You're the main person to be getting that. And I also think this is partly why maybe it seems easier for women to forgive unfaithfulness when it comes to sex.
Mm-hmm.
Because a random girl he has sex with one night, yeah, he shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But he loves you.
Mm-hmm.
And that hasn't changed. He comes home to you. There's a woman that he's talking to day in, day out. They're going for coffees. They may not have had sex yet, but you start to feel him withdraw from the relationship.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
Even though they've not had sex.
Of course.
I think women, they feel that and they recognize that and they know that.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why, and I think that's why men are also harsher when it comes to women being unfaithful sexually.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like I said, for me, thing is, though, obviously, because connection is important. If I start to feel her withdrawing from the relationship, I'm gonna be like, "What's going on here?" And then if there's another guy that she's been talking to, I'm like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, why this? Why do we not chat about it?
Yeah.
But if I don't feel her withdraw
That's
from
probably the key,
relationship,
though, isn't
then-
it? Because if everything's going well or feels like it's going well,
Yeah.
and then either party are going out now and then, but it's the now and then, and it's the every week seeing the same girl, every week seeing the same guy,
Yeah.
one-on-one. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Like, you know,
It's
unless, yeah.
Do even married couples go for a date once a week? I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like,
let me
but
ask you
you're
this.
going-
You'd probably be completely against this. Would you ever have an open relationship?
Nope. But define
No.
it. But define it.
It's open sexually.
No.
No. First? Yeah. Like, is that completely off the table?
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Fair play.
What?
Fair played. Fair played.
Because as I said, I'm waiting till marriage, and marriage is only going to be one man in that
There's one
marriage.
person, yeah.
Yeah.
What if he wanted to be open?
He won't.
I'm gonna take care of his needs, boy.
No.
You got it?
I know the type of guy that I'm going to marry.
I understand.
He's not going to be open to that.
I hear
He's
that.
going to have the same values, and he's
Yeah.
going to be, a Christian. So,
I get that. Is there something you'd like to bring to conversation? A question you'd like to ask, or
what would I like to ask? I feel like I already asked the ones
Yeah.
that I had planned.
it's all right.
to be
I've got
honest.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. That laugh.
That laugh. Is it more important for a woman to know the harsh truth or to be happy?
Ooh. To know the harsh truth or to be happy. It's got to be a midpoint, I think. There's got to be a midpoint.
Depends what it is.
No. The truth, 100%. I'm a woman of truth is so important to me. It's my work, it's everything. Like I hate lies.
Sure.
But that's not to say, if we're talking about, little things like, do I look all right in this? Like, is that what you're talking about?
No.
If that's what you're talking about.
Okay, let me. Maybe I should.
Do you know what I
give an
mean? Like, it's like that is
example.
the
Yeah,
harsh
of course.
truth. Actually, if I'm looking really bad, I prefer my guy to say, wear something else. I would actually prefer
Okay,
that.
Fair enough.
But, it depends on the time.
Yeah, it depends on the situation.
Yeah. So that, if we're talking about that, that's why I faltered. But any other big, deep thing, it's like, no, 100% truth matters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What
I
were
see
you? What were you thinking of? What
was I thinking of? Okay. Well, I mean, the most common scenario is you meet a man, you marry him, you love him, been together 5 years. He messes up one night and he sleeps with someone else.
Oh, okay.
Now, he loves you. He doesn't want things to end. It was a mistake.
Oh, the harsh truth. Or to be happy.
Do you want him to tell you, or would you rather that he swallows that guilt and...
I feel like anything I answer now is like...
Well, I
No.
don't know. I've got another scenario that I'll ask you
Yeah.
for the same situation, but I'm just...
That's
asking
just
in
that's
that
just
scenario.
that's just so hard. It's
very
hard because like you don't really want to have on record that you'd rather be happy because it's like you don't want a guy lying to you.
Yep.
But
Like, he still wants to stay with you. He still
Yeah.
loves you. You just made a mistake. It's not okay, by the way. I feel like I have to say that, otherwise people will be like, he's condoning cheating, which I'm not.
I can't. I really can't. I feel like I do like to try and answer questions when I can, but I feel like I can't answer it.
It's hard, that.
Yeah, I feel like I can't answer it
Yeah.
because open and honesty is important, But then is he just saying it to get it off his chest? Because he would need to not be living with guilt and fear. And because, do you know what I mean? It's that consequence thing again. It's like, if he's constantly living with guilt, it might affect the relationship anyway. But some people, they want to admit it just to get it off their chest so that they feel better. So that's just...
Actually, I think that's just a very big reason why... when these things happen, why people confess to make themselves feel better. Yeah,
so that's the interesting one.
So actually him open up and being truthful with you could be a very selfish thing.
I know it sounds silly.
It sounds silly, but
for me, because I'm a Christian, and I believe my husband, I believe,
yes,
if I get married, will be a Christian. Amen. There's a thing of confessing to God.
Okay.
Right, so it's important to confess to God.
I'm asking, does he confess to you?
I know, that's why I'm like, he can confess to God. Maybe I don't even want this on record.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and that would literally be, drunk one-off mistake.
It was like he doesn't care about the woman. He doesn't even know her name.
And again, I don't condone cheating of any forms.
Doesn't condone it. I feel like we have to say that for some reason.
Yeah, so it's just, but yeah, it's very hard. What about you?
I'd want to know.
Oh, is it interesting?
100%, yeah. I'd want to know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you think that I've answered in a very female way? I actually thought about it.
Well, I don't want to say you... Sounds harsh. You thought in a female way.
No, I'm just interested because you were just like straight away you'd want to know, and then you'd want to get rid of her, or would you? You can't. It's so when it's hypothetical. It's
her position would change in my life for sure, but I think what this highlights is the difference in how men and women see sex with each other. So you know how I said why I think men have a much harsher standard when it comes to sexual infidelity than women?
Yeah. But it's not saying that you gave me a choice of two. Ideally there'd be no cheating.
No, of course.
But when you gave a choice of would you want it, like it's happened, when you gave me a choice of would you want to know or would you rather not know, and then let's say he never does it again and whatnot, and the relationships.
Well, obviously the choice was would you rather not know.
Yeah.
And you're none the wiser.
Yeah.
Right? So you're happy because you're none the wiser.
I just feel like...
I would rather not be happy but know the truth.
Yeah, do you know why?
Personally.
Because I just think when something like that happens, there'll be other things will change a little bit.
Maybe.
I feel like there'll be...
I mean, female intuition is a thing.
Yeah, so I just feel like it's already been broken. I still can't answer.
It's a hard question.
I still can't.
Yeah, I think I think most guys.
But obviously, if a guy's cheating and like fully,
consistent,
is fully cheating, yeah, then of course,
that's
different. Because some people don't want to know even with that.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Well.
Or maybe they know what they've got into, so they're just like turning the other way.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
does.
Happens. Some women. Let me give a different scenario.
Mhm.
Oh, this one's so harsh. Okay, I'll say it anyway. That you weren't his first choice. So he's happy with you, but you weren't his first choice. You weren't the top one that he wanted to be with. Would you rather know? Or
but you can say that about anything. Like your top one person might be like a celebrity or something. Or you're talking about?
No, what I mean as in, let's say there was the one that got away.
Oh, okay.
Like.
Would you want to know? Of course you would want to know. Let's be honest. Would you want to know? No, you wouldn't. Come on. But doesn't that type of thing happen all the time? No, as in like
isn't
guys.
Every relationship, not the first choice.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like.
I would want to.
When you say first choice, when you say first choice, is there like this ultimate? You're saying ultimate. There was a girl that he really wanted to be with, and it was because throughout life, isn't there different people that different people like, and then something happens, and then isn't that
but like when you break up with someone, when you break up with someone, it means you don't want to be with them anymore. So we're not including those.
So you're saying that she broke up with him. he
No,
wanted
it
to
could
stay
be he
with her.
broke up with her. So imagine.
No, but from my perspective.
Oh yeah.
So that I'm the second choice. So he
Yes.
was with someone who was his first choice.
Yep.
And she broke up with him.
Yes.
You know what I'm going to add to the mix?
Go on.
I was the rebound.
Are you, but let's say you could be like.
Would you like to be the rebound?
The rebound. Let's say not even rebound. Let's just say
Okay.
you're the next relationship.
Yeah.
I would want to know. And the reason
I just think that's weird. I don't see life like that because I feel like people get on with it. I don't think it's like, oh, that was my first choice, and I don't see life like that. I really don't.
I think that's a luxury. Yeah, I think.
I just think.
Not everything is like that.
I don't think like everyone's got this is the one that I was.
Oh, not
like,
everyone. No, that's not happened with everyone. No,
like
of course not. I'm just saying for this scenario. I'm saying in this particular specific scenario.
No, because I just think that someone likes someone else and they don't like them back, and then that happens all the time. I don't think it's like, unless there are people who are like, this is my one girl and I don't want anyone but her, then that's a bit, for me, that's a little bit.
So what I mean is, I don't mean like, oh, he fancied this girl but she didn't fancy him. That's not what I mean. I mean someone that he would have been involved with.
Yeah.
And let's say it didn't work out because she ended things.
Yeah.
So he has situations.
But then doesn't he surely just like move on and then get over it? Like, and now meet someone new? Like, why is it like, is there always going to be that thing? You're my second, I've settled. That's the settled thing, isn't it?
That's the settled thing.
That is the settled thing. You said guys don't settle so much.
I don't think guys do. But that's why I gave you this scenario.
Yeah.
Would you rather know, or would you rather be happy? I would rather know. Because, and maybe this is a vanity thing, but whoever I choose, I want to be, out of all the guys I've ever been involved with, I want to be her top choice.
Okay. So that means that you're already in a relationship and then you find out, or you'd want to know before you get into a relationship.
Oh, you're already in a relationship.
Oh, really? Well, for her to one day just announce, like, by the way, you're not my first choice.
Well, you wouldn't say it like that, but like you can kind of tell, like, if someone say, oh, the one that got away.
And then you'd split up with her on the spot because you want to be her number one.
Depends if we have kids or not.
But why is it even coming up? Come on.
I know. I
know. But I'm just imagining like you've been with someone, you know, you're married, you got 3 kids, and then she wakes up one day.
Kids, then nah.
Okay.
I wouldn't know because for me,
she wakes up and like what? No, I'm saying, why would it come up? You were my first choice.
I know some people talk about these things. Like you wouldn't say that.
Or Mr. First Choice turns up.
No, but it could be like. But people do express the one that got away.
Yeah.
And I think a direct translation of the one that got away is, if I could choose anyone in the world right now, it would be that person. If I could have chosen anyone to be with, it would have been that person, but that's the one that got away. Now, you're right. I like to think most people don't have the one that got away.
Interesting.
The one that they were involved with, that they would have ideally chosen to be their life partner.
Yeah.
But that person got away. Mm-hmm. But it does happen sometimes. Mm-hmm. It can happen on occasion, which is why I get that scenario. On this particular occasion, if I was with a girl, we're in a relationship, and she's like, yeah, this was the guy that got away, I don't know if I'd marry her.
I get it.
Because I'd be like, I'd want to be your first choice, always.
I get it. But I still find it weird if it would come up that it comes up.
It would be weird if it came up. But
I feel like even the fact that it came up shows a bit of disrespect.
Well, it depends how it comes up.
Do you know what I mean? If they say it, if it comes up, you weren't my first choice anyway.
Well, but you wouldn't say it like that. But that's why, like, because it could come up in a conversation where, because people are open
I get it.
and they're just like, oh, have you ever had, one that got away? And then if the person's like, oh yeah.
So if they're watching this, they'll be like, don't ever tell Kit.
Listen.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, big facts. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
But you just said you want to know.
I know. Damn, I've caught myself out.
Yeah.
Caught myself out.
It's on record.
It's on record.
That's why I didn't want to say the thing on record about
listen, look, but
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, we have to be honest.
Yeah.
And look, everyone's different.
Yeah. And
some guys maybe would rather not know. I would want to know.
Yeah.
I'd rather know the truth. I'd rather know the harsh truth.
So about everything.
Know how the world. Yeah.
Is that about everything? Everything.
I can't think of any example where I wouldn't want to know the truth.
Okay.
I can't think of any example, no. Can you? I mean, for me, to ask me. I don't know. Is there an example you think you wouldn't want to know the truth on this?
Do you know the truth about abortion?
What do you mean?
What happens in an abortion procedure?
Oh, what happens in
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what happens. I mean, I know you're preventing a life from being born.
Have you seen images of a living baby?
I wouldn't choose to see one either.
But you want to know the truth?
Well, I know the truth that you're ending a life.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But I don't want to have to see it. It's like I eat chicken, right? But I don't want to see how they slaughter the chicken in order for it to land on my plate.
So is that a little bit of is it cognitive dissonance? I might be using that wrong.
I don't think so. Like, for example, like...
No, it just came up because I love truth, and I think truth is so important, and that is what my work is about. So when you said anything, obviously that's why it came to mind, like, because we find that often people don't want to know the truth about abortion. They'd rather stay in ignorance so that they can continue to live their life how they want to live it without...
But I'm the same, so like, I eat meat, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to watch a documentary on animal...
But is that because you don't want to know the truth? Let's be honest.
Well, I know animals, are killed for us to eat food.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see it.
It's probably the way they're killed.
Yeah, maybe. But like, because if we're talking about that, like watching, because I like to think most people are a lover of animals, right? But also most people are also meat eaters. So naturally, if we watch something to see an animal being killed for our benefit, that's going to make us feel bad to the point that maybe we stop eating meat, which is probably why these documentaries exist. I accept that. I'm not perfect, but I deliberately not watch them because I don't want to stop to have eating meat. I don't want that guilt to happen. So like, if we're talking about abortion, you're ending a life. But do I need to see the images and stuff? No, I don't need to. Like, because the truth is, you're ending a life. That's,
okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I know women.
So you're not.
I know women take poops, but I don't need to see you do it. Don't need to see it.
Oh gosh. All right. So okay, that's interesting because you said you always want to know the truth. So you acknowledge. Yeah, I hear that.
Oh,
so you acknowledge the truth. Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah. Anyone last thing that comes to mind? Because I thought this has been a great conversation.
Oh yeah, actually. I was just thinking. I think we're so in the West. We're so individualistic when it comes to dating and relationships.
Yes.
I think people are just often left, one-on-one to their own devices. And I think something that we could benefit from as a society is just more accountability, role models. Because when you think about even businesses, right? If you want to have a good business, it's great to have a business mentor. It's great to have someone that's been there ahead of you,
100%.
And I think we don't take as much seriousness when it comes to relationships. So that's why it's interesting when you say that you're a dating coach. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that existed.
Oh yeah.
And so I just thought I'd bring that up to the table. And what your thoughts about that if we are in England, in the West? Because if you think about even other cultures, let me say Indian culture, they do arranged marriages, the family's involved. Yeah. Whereas here it's just, I think everyone's left to their own devices and one-on-one. Yeah. And I think along with that though, there's not as much help. So like, there's not as much matchmaking. There's not as much people you can go online. There's not as much looking out for each other from even the older generations. So I don't know what you think about that.
I think when it comes to relationships, I think the reason it's different is because they are so... There's less of a one-size-fits-all. Mm-hmm. So if you have a bit so you used the example of businesses, right? Yeah. There are certain business models that can be replicated that prove to succeed. Yeah. But what works for your relationship may not work for mine. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? So I think that's why when it comes to dating relationships, why it seems less of having a mentor or whatever, because it can be like, okay, I recognize for my grandparents this really worked, but that's not going to work for me.
Yeah, I hear that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think a big part of it is because the kind of relationships maybe we desire can be heavily influenced by our environment. So anybody who's grown up in a different environment, they probably want a different kind of relationship than maybe what we would. So you use like the Indian culture, for example.
Yeah.
If that's an environment where arranged marriages is very common, and how they choose a partner is a very specific way, and what makes a good relationship is very specific in that environment. If what makes a good relationship in this environment is different, then it's just not going to work. Like having a mentor in that culture isn't going to work for the average person here, and vice versa. Having a mentor here for the person who's used to that culture, they're going to be like, that doesn't make sense to me. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I didn't mean necessarily mentor, like a relationship mentor, but I mean, just kind of, just advice from people who, like, I think it's important. Let's say someone desires to get married and they haven't really known married people in their family. Like, it's probably a good idea to look to married couples. So look at someone who's got a good relationship and ask them. I think as well, because I think people will be happy to. Do you know what I mean? If anyone asks you a question about anything in life that they think you're doing good at, you're going to be happy to talk.
Very true.
Right, hence you're doing the dating, the dating coaching. So I just think I would encourage people to just talk about it as well with people who maybe you think are doing well in the area.
It's very true. I hear that. Listen, Ruth, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Where can we find you if people want to drop you a DM or something?
You can find me on Instagram at Ruth_Rawlins. Not super busy on there, but that's where I am.
Okay, Ruth_Rawlins. Guys, go check her out. Give her a few likes from me and our community. Give her a follow, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you, Kit. It's been blessed.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you in the next episode.